Hi friends, good morning. Before the break started, I had some of my students write down some homework for me. I knew that I was going to have some free time over the break and I want to work on my drawing skill, but I always draw the same thing. So I thought it would be a cool idea to have my students give me random prompts. And I have all of those prompts here in my little container. So whenever I'm ready to do a drawing, I will draw from here. And I will do one of the prompts and make a video for you guys. You can draw along with me. These are not instructional videos, so I won't tell you each step and how to turn your paper. I will explain a little bit of my process and my thinking and my planning. You can always pause the video and go back and try to do what I'm doing. Or you could make your own version of the prompt. This is mostly a series of videos that I want to do to explore different things that I don't normally draw when I just set a prompt for myself. And I wanted this to just be something fun so that if you don't know what to draw, maybe this gives you some ideas as well. Without further ado, let's get started. Lid's on tight, my goodness. I love this prompt. I feel like this student really understands what I like to draw. This prompt comes from Mr. Grimm's 3rd grade class, so shout out to Mr. Grimm's class. The prompt is zombie eating brain tacos. Yeah, that's sufficiently creepy. I'm very excited for that. I am by no means an expert in drawing zombies, but we will see what we can do. All right, well, let's get started. Okay, so we are drawing a zombie eating brain tacos. I love this prompt. I think I'm going to do a zoomed in version, so maybe like the face and the taco here. But I just want to get started, so I'm going to start sketching. I'm not going to look at any references today in terms of like doing any research on zombie faces. I am by no means an expert. I'm just going to do my best. So I am going to start by lightly sketching out my taco. And then I'm going to do my favorite thing ever, which is to use myself as a model. So when I'm drawing things like hands, I always feel a little uncomfortable because hands are something that are so difficult to do. Even for me, even though I've done them a million times, they're intimidating. And so when I do draw hands, I like to have a model. And so I use my own hand. So what I did there was try to kind of hold my hand how I would if I was holding a taco so that I could sort of see how it might look. And then I'm just doing sort of an exaggerated version of that because this is a zombie. You know, it's not a normal person holding a taco. It's a person who no longer has control of most of their muscles and such. So it should be a little wonky, I think. So now I'm going to start on the zombie face, I guess, because I kind of got my taco and hand mapped out. I want to do a big mouth because this zombie's eating a taco, and I'm sure it's a very hungry zombie since that's their prime directive in existing. So I'm going to do a nice big mouth that sort of mimics the shape of my taco. Hopefully this will give it balance in the artwork. You know, if I did a different shaped mouth, maybe it would still have balance. But for me, I like to try and stick with similar shapes to help sort of bring things together. Also, I want to think about the angle of the face. You know, this zombie's super excited for these tacos. So I think it's going to have its head sort of like leaned back. And you're going to be able to see all that very skinny, gaunt's a great word, gaunt bone structure. So my zombie doesn't eat that often, and also it's not currently living. So it's going to look a bit more bony and skinny, and its skin is going to sag on top of its bone structure. So I'm keeping all of those things in mind when I kind of sketch this out. I'm going to keep going in pencil until I get my ideas down, and then once my ideas start to get more definitive and I start to really make some decisions on where this is going, I'm going to make my pencil a bit darker as I go before I start my pen. So while you're working in pencil, this is definitely the time to explore and experiment and try something that you're not totally sure will work. you're going to see me do a lot of things that it looks like I very confidently did it. And I promise it's because the video is sped up and my original audio is not there of me questioning my choices. But I'm working in pencil, so that gives me some more confidence to say that I can try something. If I don't like it, I can erase it. But it turns out that I made a lot of cool choices that I really enjoyed and I kept in. And I think I only got those cool things to happen because I was not afraid to use my pencil properly. And that's why I always try to encourage my students to make mistakes with their pencils, because you have the option to erase it. Much like right now, where I'm erasing parts of the fingers to turn them into kind of bony stubs and giving some jagged nails. I'm doing that now because I've got my pencil and I've got the confidence to say that my art can change right now and I can make it what I want. So I'm just sorting out my drawing pens and I'm going to start tracing. I actually am using a really fine, flexible tipped pen right now. So I can do a lot of different kinds of lines with it because it works a little bit like a brush and a little bit like a pen. It's very fine, so I've got a lot of control, but I can also make it bend and wiggle and make some really cool irregular lines. For the most part, I'm just tracing what I've got, but I did add some lines for some kind of dry, crackly texture to the lips because I feel like, zombies probably don't drink enough water, much like myself. So they probably have some dry lips. And I'm just going through major areas that I feel like could do with a skinny or medium-sized line. I'm going to grab another pen in a minute here, and I'm going to start going through my darker areas. And this is a much more flexible and much thicker lined marker pen. It also has a brush nib, but I can get more ink out of it and I can cover a surface much faster with it. I also like to use it to add emphasis to really dark areas. I kind of get the vibe that this is like a, I don't know, comic book style sort of graphic novel drawing illustration. So yeah, so some of the areas I want to use like a really thick line, and some of the areas I want to have nice fine little touches. With my pen, I can always go in and completely freehand some little textures, some shading. I definitely used a fair amount of stippling and hatching to add some texture and some shadow and some value to my drawing. I don't think I'm going to color this, so I wanted to, I don't know, make it as interesting as possible just in black and white. And I think that part of doing that is using different weights of line, which is, what we say when something is thicker or thinner in terms of line. It has a thicker weight or a thinner weight. So just kind of going over the different lines I've got here. Some of them are changing, as you can see. Some of them I haven't properly traced, and that's because I've made the decision that they are going to change, and I'm going to erase the pencil later, so you'll never even see it in the final product. Very sneaky. Also, inside my taco, I felt like it just needed more stuff, like tomatoes and jalapenos and little pieces of cheese and lettuce. So there's like more texture in my taco now. I think it's a little bit more interesting. Also, making sure that I add shadow underneath the hand. I'm a huge fan of shading. I like to shade everything, but I think that I do tend to go overboard sometimes with it. So trying to tone that down. Also adding some texture to the taco shell because you gotta have texture. And because this feels kind of graphic novel-y, I'm gonna give a little speech bubble. And it says, "What? No salsa? Cretins." And it's a very judgmental zombie. He's a food critic. So I hope you guys enjoyed doing this drawing with me. Thanks again to my student who created this prompt. It was really fun. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. Bye.